Hey, what's up? It is another Get Geekish podcast. It's been a few weeks because it's been a big, busy summer, but thanks for joining us once again. I'm Beano. That's Derek over there.
Yo!
Say hi to the people, Derek.
Hi, people.
Yes, you did it. All right. So we do this every week. We do the Get Geekish podcast where we talk about some geeky ramblings or something that comes up in pop culture, something we remember from our youth. But I was actually lucky enough to go to, what is it? The daddy of them all? The
I don't know. I mean, the big one. The daddy of them all sounds weird, and the granddaddy of them all is
Cheyenne Frontier Days too.
Yeah, that's the granddaddy of them. So, I mean, yeah, you were fortunate enough to go to something that we've been talking about for, a long time.
And that's San Diego Comic-Con.
The biggest
Comic-Con
one.
Comic-Con International, I guess is the technical term. But
I was gonna say the biggest one where they started suing other cons for using Comic-Con, right?
Yeah, that part still hurts a little bit. But they were the first, so I can understand it to a point. But I mean, that was always on the bucket list. When I started going to conventions, we went to the very first Denver Comic-Con, when they could still call it that, which was, 10 years ago?
Was it really? Oh.
Yeah, or maybe 9 years ago, somewhere around there. About a decade ago. And that was the first one we went to, and we've gone to every one of them since. We've gone to a bunch of Fort Collins. We were tallying it up because we have most of our lanyards or badges from most of the cons, and I think we can say pretty comfortably that I've been to 30+ comic conventions now.
So you're becoming a pro.
Yeah, like I could, semi-pro,
Well, that's the thing too. Is every con, I've been to a few too. Is every con you learn something new from that con and you adapt it to the next one, and sometimes you forget completely when you go to the next one. You're like, you know what we forgot? So. It's interesting.
So San Diego had always been a bucket list one. Always dreamed of somebody, because if you haven't heard of how to get tickets, it's basically a lottery system that people try for. And some people have been trying for years and have never gotten tickets to go in. And we managed to get lucky, and we got tickets to go in 2020. And we know what happened. It didn't happen. So they finally got it back in, and we got to get our tickets and got to redo our trip and go out there. And okay, we're going to San Diego Comic-Con. And I went in with the most bipolar expectations. I didn't know what to expect exactly. I went in thinking it was going to be I wanted it to walk in and just blow my socks off and be the biggest, coolest, most amazing thing I've ever seen. And I also wanted to walk in and be underwhelmed and be like, yeah, it's just another con that's crowded.
So what was your... Let's talk up to that moment, okay? You land in San Diego, which is one of the greatest cities in America. I love that city so much. But you're walking up to the convention, and you're ready to go through the doors. What were you feeling right then and there? Because, I mean, if people don't know about this con, it's huge. It is. This is one where all the celebrities end up going to. Celebrities would dress up and they'll walk the floor and you won't even know it. So, like, what was your thoughts going into this?
My original prep was I'm going to have to wait in line so long to get anything done, because we had to get clear passes, get wristband passes, get vaccine check passes, all this kind of stuff. But thankfully, I had a few ins because the people we went with showed up the day before. They got there Wednesday afternoon. We got there Thursday. So they kind of gave us the run of how things work. Because a bunch of people, like most of the big cons I've been to, are standing there waiting in line to get in when it opens. So starting early in the morning, people are lining up outside, standing outside in the freaking San Diego heat for those doors to open at 10 o'clock. But like other cons, if you're just going in the door and not going to one of the halls or something like that, you just wait till 10:15. You can walk in any door you want and don't have to wait in any line.
That's what's always surprised me. Is like, we've been there. We've stood in the lines. We've melted in the heats. And looking back at it, it's, unless you're going to a panel that's right there in the morning, there's no reason to go stand in the line, because all you're doing is you're adding miles to your feet, which are going to be sore, and you're standing there just dying to go walk the floor that you're going to walk 10,000 times, and see the same stuff.
Well, if you don't like lines, I wouldn't recommend San Diego if you want to see stuff, because to me, that is one of the biggest things that was like a disappointment of a lot of the stuff at San Diego, is there's lines for everything, from bathrooms to hot dogs to drinks to celebrity signings to getting seats to get, like, if you want to do something, there was a line for it. But some people are cool with that. I'll give, for instance, the part that makes no sense to me is Hall H. That's the big, monstrous hall where they do, like Marvel did their big reveal this year, and DC did everything. It is the huge hall where all the big things happen. It's gargantuan, but one, you had to win the SDCC lottery to get tickets to go to San Diego Comic-Con. Then, the day before the Hall H, you have to go stand in the Hall H line, which is outside and twirled all the way around the convention center and then some certain times.
Oh, jeez.
In order to get a wristband, which allowed you to get in line for a Hall H presentation the following day. So, the people that were, say, like at the front of the Marvel Panel H line, I was trying to figure out the math, and I had to sit there like, okay, you to be up at this part of the line, you all had to wait in line probably 6 to 12 hours to make this happen. Which, again, to me, not worth it. Because the part of the dump on me when we first saw the Hall H line, because we mainly stayed in the convention floor and walked on the stuff and went to the smaller ballrooms and stuff, because I just, going into it, reading all we found this unofficial SDCC blog, which gave me a lot of tips ahead of time to not be sorely angry and disappointed. Because it was one of those cons that if somebody just showed up like, oh, this is going to be great, I'm going to take my kids to see this, and we're going to do all these wonderful things, they probably walked out wanting to hurt people and never go back. Right. Because there's a lot of ins and outs and very specific things that have to go on. But regardless, the line for the Hall H at one time, it snaked through 4 or 5 tents of people going back, and then it went all the way down along the beach behind the entire convention center. And if you've seen that convention center itself is like 3/4 of a mile long. And it went all the way behind there, and then out around the pier, and then all around the next peninsula out there. All people waiting for the next day's Hall H pass. I thought that looked miserable. But some people were loving it because they were just there having a good time. They had some card games. They were getting food from vendors, hanging out with their friends, and that was just their plan of we're going to go hang out and wait in line for this for hours, and they were having the time of their lives. So, more power to them. I'm just an old fuddy-duddy, and that did not like fun at all to me.
Well, that's the thing too. Is it's hard for me because like looking at that, you're spending all this money to go there, right? You know, some of these people don't live in California; they travel just like you did. So they're spending the money to go to a hotel and all that jazz for a Marvel panel that lasts an hour or two.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's some big cool celebrities and things that happen on there. But the panel is so huge that unless you are one of the first few hundred people in there, you're sitting in the back of an auditorium watching them on a screen anyway.
Right.
And my problem with it is I don't have the FOMO personality of I was in the same room when they made the announcement of blah blah this. I'm so excited. It's like, that's cool. I'll watch the YouTube recap tomorrow. I'm good. Like, cool. That sounds awesome.
And that's what I was getting at is like as soon as it's not even like a next day thing. It's like as soon as they make an announcement, it's on social media and the internet within 15, 20 minutes, if that.
And there's security and there's signs and people everywhere. There's no live streaming, no recording video during the panels. And every single one I was in, I saw dozens of people sharing pictures and videos from inside the panels. Like,
right.
It's kind of a joke of don't tell anybody.
Well, I mean, even that thing too is like the whole. I mean, we've been to panels with other Comic Cons, right? With Denver and Fort Collins and everything like that, and sometimes they're great. You go in and have fun, but even when we went to, I don't remember, was it Neville? I don't know if you went to that one at Denver. We went in there and it was cool. You know, we got to pick our own seat, but we did have to stand in line. So you have to waste a good hour of your day, waste, quote unquote, depending on how you look at it, but waste an hour of your day standing in line to hopefully get in and get a good seat. And then you have to sit there and wait, and then they come on, and you get to do the whole thing, and then after that, it's just a whole herd of people out, and you're like, well, now what?
Yeah, it was rough for that part. But that being said, we did get some cool panels because we, when I think we're not going to see anything in Hall H, we saw the first lines, a couple that, man, we're never going to see any of the panels. Why even bother at this point if we have to spend, because we had a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old with us in tow. We're not going to go make them stand in line for 4 hours so I can go see some celebrity light. But then one of the afternoon, Saturday afternoon, we were walking right upstairs, and there was like, oh yeah, ballroom seating, open seating, and bar. The thing that's weird about it is they don't announce who's going to be in all the panels. They don't announce what the panels are at all until 2 weeks before San Diego Comic-Con, and then even that, like the Marvel panel, the only precursor to it was it's the Marvel panel. They don't say if there's going to be celebrities there, what they're showing off. It's there. There's the DC panel. A few of them will give the teases of who's going to be there, but It's almost just like a crapshoot of like, whoa, they're doing the panel on Marvel, so I bet one of the actors from other movies is going to be there. I hope it's one I like. And so it's rough for that because you can't plan exactly for it, but it kind of feeds into that FOMO, like you have to be there because you don't know what you're going to miss,
right?
Which I guess is what they're capitalizing on. But some of the big ones I think people would have loved to be in, because I heard that the panel that had Keanu Reeves was the big highlight. That one didn't fill up, so people were just walking into that one at the end of it because people hadn't been waiting in line. There was an announcement that he was going to be there for something, so there wasn't, clouds of people waiting to be there, and some people just got to waltz in. And that's what we felt like upstairs. Got to go and see a Simpsons panel. It had a bunch of the creators and writers from The Simpsons up. And Matt Groening was going to be there, but he had COVID, so he couldn't. So when they were talking about stuff, they gave us a preview of the new Treehouse of Horror this year. They're doing an entire anime episode of The Simpsons Treehouse of Horror based on Death Note.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's created, they actually hired a Japanese or a Korean anime studio to create it, so it's not just like Simpsons trying to do anime. It's legitimately an anime studio made the episode.
That's pretty awesome.
So we got to see that, and then they were giving out prizes to some people asking questions, which were hand-drawn Matt Groening Simpsons posters with like, hey, yeah, COVID sucks, wish I could be there, Matt Groening, hand-drawn pictures of Simpsons characters. So that was cool. And we saw another one with almost the entire cast of Mythic Quest up on stage, and that was really entertaining to see all them up there. We walked in through and saw half of the first half of the Critical Role panel and a couple other ones, which when you could walk in and sit down, like, I don't want to say this anyway, we were going in the ballroom because they said there was open seats and it was really hot and we wanted to go sit down in the air conditioning. We walked in like, oh, hey, that's the creators of The Simpsons. Would you look at that? Because you look at the guidebook, and it's like a phone book, if you remember what those things are. It's just stuff, thing after thing after thing after thing after thing. And so that part was pretty fun. And then walking around the exhibit hall floor was the equivalent of the first time I ever stepped onto the Strip in Vegas as far as overwhelmingness.
Yeah, I was going to ask how, we've seen some epic merch floors, right, with cons, and we've also seen some ones that aren't particularly the greatest, with layouts and everything like that, and you kind of have to fumble to find stuff. But how was it? Because I'm assuming this con has been around for a long time, so you would think they would have things figured out. And
for getting people around, the float is pretty good. The only thing that's weird is back to more lines. One of the favorite things we talk about. There's actually a Twitter account called "What's This Line For?" for San Diego Comic-Con, because there's lines for everything I said, and even in the exhibit hall, when there's people doing signings for stuff, or when they're doing giveaways, or they're selling their exclusives and blah, 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 they have lines for those. Mm-hmm. So there's lines around, but the lines, they can't block the rows, so the lines have to continue. You walk up like, oh, sweet, there's only 5 people in line. Like, oh, no. See that guy with the sign over there? You got to go photo him to go to the end. And you go to 5 or 6 different breaks, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm now 500 people deep in line. This isn't worth it anymore, because they just have to, you can line across this wall, they have to leave the door open, and then go across this wall, and then there's booths, so you have to go over to this part of the panel and go down the middle. So it's so confusing. You just saw people lining up everywhere, and you'd have to ask, what is this line for? Am I in it? Oh. So
the lines for merch and stuff were ridiculous. So you probably did you get to see a lot of cool stuff?
Oh, yeah, we saw it. Again, it didn't bother me because all the people that were waiting in line for stuff, it was either for signings with people, which if you wanted to be the celebrity that was signing at the table, you get in line for it. That's cool. But the exclusives, I love collectibles, I love exclusives, but I don't love anything enough to go stand in line for 4 hours to get a different colored Funko because it says Comic-Con exclusive on it.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing too. Is Funko was selling a lot of their San Diego exclusive. A lot of places sell their Comic-Con exclusive stuff online too.
Well, they're so specific too. There's the Hall H exclusive one. There's the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive one. Then there's the San Diego Funko booth exclusive. So there's 35 versions of everything, which is and some of the people sharing their pictures. I was in a couple of the Facebook groups of people on there, posting pictures of the hall, the stuff they got. Again, doing the math of you legitimately spent $1,400 on Funkos this weekend. I don't know what to say. But I keep going complaining about stuff. We're going to talk about the good stuff. So
you're not really complaining though. You're just kind of we're comparing this because we've been to big Comic-Cons. I think the biggest one before this one was FanX in Salt Lake.
Yeah, FanX and Denver are the two biggest ones outside of this one, and the one up that San Diego has above those is it has all the other companies that trying to show stuff off too. So there's experiences and photo ops and things just to show off. You're looking at Denver and Fanex. Almost every single thing there is legitimately just come up and buy something and just sell something.
Right.
This one, there, I mean, they had the Lego booth set up with a bunch of huge, giant Lego statues and pictures. They had a giant, like 12-foot tall Lego Bowser that was animatronic moving around. You go take a video picture in front of with him. Some of the, I wish I remember the name of the first booth we went to. It was one of the collectible booths that had the basically handcrafted figurines. They probably had, you go to Denver or something like that, and you see a booth, and there's 5 or 6 of them out there. This thing had probably a 20 square yard booth with probably 100, 150 of these giant statues all on display, all grouped together. A bunch of Spider-Man and Venoms over here, a bunch of Kingpin and Electro over here, a bunch of Batman and Derek, and all these, like, all over the place. Just the kind of figures you see in a store and wish you could have, but you'd have to mortgage a house to get them. There was a big, giant, life-size Thanos sculpture holding his giant double sword next to it. There was tons of video screens everywhere. That was an interesting thing, too, because most of the cons, it's banners and cheap things going there. But this one, there's LED screens and banners and movie screens, and everything's just the next level. There was some artwork, people were saying. There was a Godzilla print that was 30 feet tall. You could buy it if you wanted to.
Did our friend Maddie tell you to get it?
I took a picture and sent it to him. But they've also got it figured out because a lot of the high-end stuff, like those collectibles, they weren't selling them at the con specifically. They had the barcode so you could pay for it, and they would ship it to you. But it wasn't like, oh, sweet, I'm going to buy that $799 Ghost Fighter figure and carry it around the Comic-Con. It's like, I want to buy that. Let me scan it. Here's my money. You can send it to me, blah, blah, blah.
That's pretty cool, though. I mean, because that was always one thing that was a pain in the butt when we're at cons is like, you're like, I want that. I don't want to carry it around. I don't want to walk all the way back to the car or to the hotel. I guess I'll get it at the end of the con, and you come back up, and it's like either they close down early or it's gone. You're like, well...
Yeah, this one they had it fixed up because a lot of the high-end stuff, you could legitimately just buy it online, and you'd get the discount or something special that you could only get it at the con, for now. But just don't have to worry about it. They also had a FedEx shipping area in the convention center at the front. So you could buy something and let me just walk to the front of the convention hall and pay to box it up and ship it to yourself home.
That's pretty cool.
That's awesome, too, because we had one print that we got. I thought ahead of time, like, we're going to get a bunch of prints there. I'm going to get myself a nice, hard plastic art portfolio, make sure it fits in my bag so I bring them all home. So we got art and put it in there. And the last print of the day we dressed up as Firefly one day, so this really cool Firefly print somebody had. Had him sign it, bought it, got it back to the thing. And it's 2 inches bigger than the portfolio I had.
Oh, no.
So we had to put it in a plastic sleeve and, like, kind of bend it in the suitcase. And the whole way home was like, please say that doesn't get bent in my luggage. Please say it doesn't get bent in my luggage. But yeah, that's inside the convention. That's the size. You go in the exhibit hall, and you walk. Imagine when you walk from one side of Denver to the other. Mm-hmm. You do that like 3 or 4 times to get from one end to the other there.
Right.
And it's full front to back, top to bottom, left to right. There's stuff everywhere.
That's pretty cool. Did you see any or what you thought was celebs walking around in costume?
I didn't see them walking around in costume per se, but I definitely saw a hand. I almost got run over by Ozzy Osbourne.
Oh, yeah, I saw you posted that. How'd that happen?
Well, the family was waiting in line to get a Tamagotchi of all things at the booth there.
Wait! Back like the '90s Tamagotchi where you raise the little pixel creature and
yeah, Tamagotchis are back again.
Oh, okay.
So they had a whole big booth for them. So they were going to get some for the girls, and the line was like packed, and I was super hot. So I'm like, I'm not going to. My old man claustrophobia kicked in. So I just wandered around, and I was taking pictures of some guy in a Predator outfit hanging out at the NASA booth, and everybody kept thinking he worked there. And he was, I just want to take a picture, man. I don't know what's going on with this booth. And then I started walking back, and then I just heard security start yelling. I'm like, what's going on? Like, hey, get out of the way, get out of the way. And they clear a path, and they're going by, and there's a cart coming. I look by, watch up my camera, and there was Ozzy Osbourne just waving to people in the back of a cart getting driven through on the way out because he was there promoting something with the wrestling characters or something that he's got his name attached to. And you're like, that's the Prince of Darkness. Okay, fair enough. One of the other ones I was walking by and I did a double take. He probably saw 10,000 people that day, so it isn't memory, but Dan Fogler was at one of the booths, just signing autographs for things, and they were doing I think a podcast meet and greet. And I just walking by to look over, and I had that moment of like, I know that guy, and I probably gave the strangest look, and it clicked. I'm like, that's the guy, and at the time I couldn't even think of his name. Like, that's the guy from Fanboys and all the it's him and the Fantastic Beasts. Yeah, that's the guy. And I was dumbfounded for a minute, and I kept walking by because he was doing stuff. But you just look over, you're like, oh, hey, there you are. Hi.
That's pretty funny.
And, yeah.
So one thing that we all know about this con, and it's one thing that we've kind of made a staple of Get Geekish, is going to cons, is cosplay. And we know that San Diego Comic-Con is renowned for the amazing cosplays that show up. And I know that you guys didn't really, you dressed up in your comfy cosplays because, I mean, you traveled, right? You flew out there, you don't want to pack a costume. But I know for a fact you took that very nice camera and you got some epic footage because, again, San Diego Comic-Con is one of the ones that is known for cosplays. People will dress up and not even go into the con, and they'll just stand outside with their cosplays on.
Here's my beef. I got a beef with this. There were some great cosplayers. There's some amazing ones. I want to take them down. It's interesting, though, because with the sheer size of San Diego going on, you go to some other cons, and percentage-wise, you're looking at 20-30% of people there dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
At San Diego, I would say maybe 5%.
What?
Well, for good reason. Because it is hot as get out. It was 85 degrees with 85% humidity, and everybody's standing outside in the sun in the line. Anyone that has ever been to San Diego Comic-Con before, if their plan is not to go wait and walk in last minute into the first part of air conditioning inside they can find, they're not dressing up at the con. If you got foam armor and body paint, you're not strutting around outside in the sunlight for 4 hours like looking for photos. You'll die.
You mean the internet lied to me? So, like, all these blogs and videos that we see and everything like that, and all the shoots, they make it look like everybody is dressed up head to toe, and then they're outside and doing all these cool shots.
And maybe I had a slightly different take because I've been to so many cons that it wasn't like you never see this anywhere.
Right.
I have plenty of them to compare in the past, but it also, the weather made it was hotter than normal, and they had the mask policy in effect, so a lot of people had to wear masks as well, and that also defers a lot of cosplayers who want to dress up. It's one thing to worry about. So, I think they said it ended up being like 70 or 80% capacity of what it normally is this year. So, you throw all those factors in, and there, like I said, there were some great ones, but not as many all over the place. And it seemed like people wanted to get pictures of them there. There was a couple big name magazines and newspapers there trying to get photos with people. And let me get to the camera story in a second. I'm a little upset about that when you say the nice camera. But if you go in the lobbies, sometimes you think, the exhibit floor is a terrible place to get pictures of people in cosplay because it's just too crowded, too many people. Exhibit hallways, there's plenty of room. Every person that had a decent costume, if they stopped and posed for a picture, it was like vultures. Just 20 or 30 people come running over with their phones and cameras and start taking pictures. Like, it was a madhouse. And every reporter there, anybody had a decent camera, if somebody was in costume and they struck a pose, it was just a free reign of every angle. Look. Which was a little unnerving.
Right. We've experienced that at other cosplays, cons, but that sounds like it's on a whole different level.
Yeah. And that was when it goes back to being the letdown of some of the cosplayers, because, again, there were some great ones, but everybody always seemed to be in such a hurry at this one. We got some good video footage, met some great people, had some fun with people, but on a whole, the majority of people that we stopped and got video, they were nice, but you could just feel that, we can stop and do something real quick. I've got to be someplace, or I'm hot, or I'm hungry, or my friend's saving a place in line, or I've got to get back, because everybody always just had to be somewhere else because everything was just constantly going on. And I didn't get to see half of it. I got the video that we made, we put up on YouTube, and I was super proud of it. And then I look and see some of the other cosplay videos around. I look at some videos. I was at that convention, and I can't even say I saw a third of the ones in some of these other videos. Like, where were they? I was there all weekend. How did they see all these people that I did? Like, you go to Denver Fan X, if somebody has a giant Galactus costume, if you're there all weekend, you saw it, no matter what. Everybody there saw it.
Mm-hmm.
These costumes, I mean, I looked on Instagram later, and Jessica Negru was there, dressed up as a Pyramid Head, in like 4-foot heels.
Mm-hmm.
In theory, you probably should have been able to see her from across the exhibit hall.
Nope.
No idea. And cameras, I was upset because I didn't bring my super nice camera because...
Oh, I thought you did.
Well, I emailed San Diego Comic-Con because their specific rules say you can't have selfie sticks or anything part of your camera that attaches out to bring it further away from your body because it's a hazard to bring in there. So I sent him an email with a picture of my gimbal and said, can I bring this? And like, no, you're not allowed to have that in there. So I'm like, well, crap. So I had a new gimbal that I couldn't bring, left it at home, brought the old camera. I get up, first 10 minutes I'm in there. There's people with selfie sticks. There's people with cameras. This guy with entire backpack stabilizing system with like 4-foot arms sticking out of his side, walking around taking video and pictures of people. I'm like, I hate you guys so much right now.
Well, now you know. Well, I mean, that seems so. Okay, that seems like to be it's a consistent around every con is they'll have these rules that nobody follows.
Yeah. But
So-
we're getting short on timer, so we've experienced the inside of the con. One other plus for San Diego Con, the food inside was not that great, but it also was not horribly expensive.
That's good.
I mean, it was pricey because it was con food, but I'm pretty sure it was a lot less than the prices at Fan Expo Denver for food.
Oh, wow.
And outside was the other part of outside. If you weren't a part of Comic-Con, there was still all kinds of stuff set up outside. The entire area over by the gas lamp district and by some of the hotels, the Marriott next door had an entire Dragon Ball photo all set up back where they had giant, like, 30-foot tall Dragon Ball Z sculptures to take photos with, and an arcade and a pinball arcade you could play with. I think FX had a horror walkthrough you could do. Abbott Elementary had a big thing you could walk through. Again, we didn't get through those because we didn't want to stand in line for hours. They had the House of the Dragon for Game of Thrones, which some people said was cool, but first day we were there, well, Thursday, I think Friday we were there, we're like, we'll go look. And like, oh, it's a 4-hour wait? Nah, that's wait. Saturday, you're like, oh, it's an 8-hour wait. Nah, we're not going to do that. We walked over Sunday morning about 8:30 in the morning, and they're like, oh, yeah, line's capped for the day. Excuse me?
Wow.
So we didn't go see inside that, but, I mean, it was just, 20 or 30, every TV show and TV studio and movie studio had something out there. And the biggest thing to me that was cool about San Diego Comic-Con is it felt like anything was possible. Because you go back and look after the places that we were at, and I had my few celebrity run-ins, but I see it happened all over the place because there's things happening all over the place. You never know when and where. So there were some people that got a picture of Patrick Stewart waving at people from the IMDb boat while they were waiting in line to get in line for some other place like that. The whole cast of Resident Alien with Alan Tudyk and stuff went over to the little photo op set up outside of Comic-Con for the Resident Alien. And they actually spent a half an hour taking photo ops with people out there, just unannounced, like, oh, hey, come check it out. Bruce Campbell went there and autographed a pizza cart by the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness thing. Like, just all kinds of random things that can just happen anywhere, but you have to have a little bit of luck and a lot of patience to get anything to happen.
So what would you do if, say you get lucky enough to go next year, what are you going to do different? Or what advice, rather, what would you do different? What advice would you give to somebody who's going next year?
Advice I'd give to somebody is if you're going to go, you just need to temper your expectations and you need to read all those blogs and find out exactly what you want to get out of it. Because if you're going because you want to be a part of those exhibit hall shows, you need to have a little bit of a plan going in of when and where you're going to have to be in line and how long you're going to be in line, all that kind of stuff. And if you're prepared for it and you're expecting that, you will probably absolutely love it. If you're expecting to show up and just walk in and see all your favorite celebrities left and right, you're going to be sorely disappointed. Do some stretching and walking beforehand. We averaged 30,000+ steps a day every day we were there.
Dang.
And we weren't even like trying hard to go extra. That was just walk. And I keep telling people right now, I keep waffling back and forth. I'm super glad I went. I loved lots about it. And if I was given the chance to go again, I would go. but I don't know if I would go out of my way to try and go through the whole shebang to get into it again, because everything's such a lottery system. You have to wait. You have to, try and get tickets. You have to try and get a lottery for hotels. You have to try and get in line for stuff. I'm a grumpy old man. I just want to get my seat.
If by happenstance, yay. If So, I mean, there you go. I mean, that's just scratching the surface. Like Beano said, there's tons of other blogs out there. Check out our video too, of some of the cosplays, because like you said, you didn't even get all of them. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah, like I said, for the not being everyone dressed up, the people that did dress up they did a good job.
Yeah. So check out that video. It's up on our website, geekish.com, or it's on our socials. But yeah, I mean, if you do go next year, bring your rig. So you have that.
Yeah, and we got more rigs coming, because we got what is there?
NDK
Monster Day coming up, NDK Denver coming up, Fort Collins Comic-Con coming up, and FanX Salt Lake all coming up that we're going to be at too. So got lots of videos to be made.
Yay!
So that's my take on San Diego Comic-Con. The good, the bad. It was a good time. It was overwhelming and awesome. So we'll talk to you again next week with something nerdy, Derek. It's been fun as always, and
yes, sir.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. We truly appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. Find us on social media at Get Geekish, and if you want more podcasts, we got plenty of them.